Hello, my name is Betty Collier and I represent Australia. I was first asked to put in to the Florence Biennale in 2004, but unfortunately I was unable to. So I first came in 2011. That was a very positive experience as I won a medal for sculpture. Because of that positive experience, I've returned this year in 2015. Now, you're looking at two sculptures that are in alabaster, and this one is called Cluster Formations, number 3, and I've put that on a granite base. If you look at the shape of the granite base, you'll find that it complements the actual shape of the sculpture. Now, I've called it Cluster Formations because I don't want people to really know what it is. I want them to have a suggestion of what it is, and they can make up their own mind. It's of organic forms, and I've tried to make it that it has a flowing, gentle quality and is quite tactile. The second one that I've done is just called the clusters. Once again, I don't want it to be representative of anything, although when I started it, it was an organic form, but I've taken it further than that. So you look at shapes that you could relate to in nature, you look at the dome shapes, it might even suggest mushrooms. You look at the little crevices and the folds and it might suggest the cliff faces, but it might suggest something entirely different to you. Now I've put that on a wooden Oregon base and I've hand carved that so that it follows the flow of the actual sculptures. Now to do these sculptures I've used files, chisels, gouges, and what I've got here, little rifflers. And they're like very small files so that you can get into the underneath parts where the undercutting is. One of the things with a material that's all the same colour, if you don't have undercutting and you don't go into it, you're not going to have light and shade. So that is one of the important things, to create that feeling of openness underneath, light and shade, and to give the piece a feeling of actually being lighter than it is. Now to finish it off, I've used sandpaper or wet and dry sandpaper from 80 grit to 2000 grit, which means a lot of rubbing, and that will finally give you a very smooth finish. Now my training, I was first trained as a secondary art and craft teacher in Ballarat and Melbourne, at the Royal Institute in Melbourne and Melbourne Teachers College and Melbourne University. And I went out teaching at a secondary college for 6 years, then had 2 children, and then went back part-time teaching while I studied and did another degree, and ended up with a Bachelor of Fine Arts in sculpture and in painting. I then taught at an Aquinas Teachers College, teaching students how to teach art. When my own children were a little bit bigger, I went back full-time teaching at Ballarat TAFE and Ballarat University, and I stayed there for 28 years teaching. I now teach privately in my own home, which makes things a little bit easier. I mainly now work in sculpture, and I use stone, carving stone and wood, oxy-weld with mild sheet steel, and I do bronzes with wax and clay. I also do watercolour, oils, and a little bit of printmaking, and working with ink, pen and ink. I like generally to do organic forms or something from nature. Plus I'm interested in the head. So all of those forms I try and develop and I'm interested in. I think the Biennale itself is very, very good because it unites people who are both doing art, and they can see what all the cultures are doing, and also 2 and 3 dimensions, and I think that's very important. I think it also helps the viewer to have a look at a large gathering of artwork and look at it from different cultures, different media, and just see what's going on. I have won many awards in both Melbourne and country Victoria in Australia, and I'm also represented in the Federation University of Ballarat, Australia, and I have works in private collections in Australia, New Zealand, Ireland and Turkey. I believe the best word to describe the Florence Biennale is that it's a communication. It communicates both visually and verbally to the artists and to the viewer. And in the other sense too, it is contemporary art being shown to everyone that wishes to see it and to do it.